My name is Lysan Drabon. I am PMI's Regional Managing Director for the region Europe. Now, when I looked at the topic of the conference, which is all about resilience of projects, resilience of individual project leaders, organizations, and ultimately resilience of the world, reflected on it and thought, what is that for me? And resilience usually has to do with staying strong and survive when things are changing around me. So really adopting fast and almost being ahead of the curve and constantly looking into the future. How do I today need to adapt and change so that in the future I'm still relevant and I'm still able to make an impact? And when I pull this towards the profession of project management, that is where we as PMI, as an organization, and as Ike alluded, we need to look into the future with you and for you, quite frankly. And that's what we do as part of our mission. And that is what we do as part of our offerings, the thought leadership we provide. And today I would like to give you a very brief insight and some views into what we do for you and with you. And when it comes to helping you to embrace and utilize the technology advancements that the world is going through, and I'm talking about AI here. You might have already heard about the PMI by AI initiative because we want to be that strong partner that helps you understand, experience, and then really master at some point the opportunities that AI and any technology advancements out there is offering to you. So today I would like to give you a bit of an overview of how we want to help you to become future ready. While I'm talking, and I just alluded to the relevance and honestly the impact our global community has, and many of you are in the chat. So while I'm talking, I would also like to invite you to just not listen to me, but also to one another and maybe share, have you used AI currently in your project work? And if so, maybe how, or if you want to share a particular tool you've used. Because often when we talk about some of our thought leadership findings, many audience attendees and say, give me that tool or give me a good tip, right? My presentation is not about that tool or that specific tip. I'm sharing some of our research finding with you, but you are the community that has started to use AI. So please help one another out and share how you're using it and what you're learning as well. I want to start with this little quote here, and that kind of connects to that still sometimes existing fear. And fear is normal, change is sometimes a little scary, but there are still a lot of people out there that are a bit afraid and nervous about AI potentially taking jobs away. And I just want to encourage everybody to think a little different here and not just say, I'm nervous about this, I don't know what to do with AI, but I'm looking into this theme of resilience to say, how do we need to change? How do we need to open up in order to embrace AI? Because what I'm saying is AI is not what takes your job away. AI is here to assist you and support you in your job, maybe remove some of the tasks that you didn't have to do in the first place. And really, it's not AI that potentially takes a job away. It is people that are embracing AI that potentially take jobs away because they are going with the advancement. As I said, we want to involve in advancing the profession through the embrace and the opportunity to use AI to the best of our abilities. And that quote is hopefully stimulating that thinking process for those of you who might not really know where to start or even are hesitant to use it. I want to start with a bit of a recap because there was quite some time already that PMI is looking into the future with you and for you. And even in summer of 2019, not that far long ago, we have started already to research around what is the adoption of AI looking like? And we asked our project professionals at that time, how are your organizations at that time already impacted? And that is really pre-Gen AI. This was not yet the time where generative AI, open AI was really available to a lot of individuals and the public. It really was that time where AI as such became more available to organizations and people in that industry, but not yet that public. So even at this time, already 81% of people said, my organizations are already 2019 impacted by it. So it started early, and we have over time continued to monitor and research around the adoption of AI. And that is some of the thought leadership work I would like to share with you. That is the research we've done just recently, or research that has been done recently. in the beginning of this year by BCG, and it indicated that over the course of 3 years, where really accelerated usage of AI is reported, the whole topic of AI had gotten a very different dynamic. And this is a research that was done with more than 1,400 executives that indicated 89% of them said, like, in 2024, my top 3 tech priority is the implementation of AI and also Gen AI, which is a good thing. It's out there. People understand the benefits. But 66% of these executives also said they were ambivalent and sometimes also dissatisfied how their organizations are advancing in the adoption of AI. And at the same time, a very high portion of the executives also said they are rather waiting until this kind of hype around Gen AI is maybe moving beyond, or they are only starting to experience in a very small way, which is a bit contradictory if you think about it. And other research we've conducted actually indicates that, on the one hand, the project management profession, the professionals, are actually industries and people that are very fast in advancing in AI adoption, because, as you maybe can imagine, there's a lot of portions and parts of PM work that can be taken over by AI. And the organizational pace to support that and really create a holistic framework for AI adoption is actually lagging a bit behind. So that kind of is a bit of a discrepancy in terms of pace and maybe appetite. And I'll talk a little bit about why that could be in some of my next slides, because there are a lot of scalability challenges that simply are yet to be addressed for organizations. Now, I want to talk a bit about 3 key themes that are usually part of the discussions when we talk about AI adoption in project management, very high level. On the one hand, there's a lot of conversations about the benefits. We've done a lot of research where we looked into areas of project management that are benefiting from AI adoption. And there's particular tasks that are easy to be replaced with AI, and there's others where the task AI can support the humans, right? But there's a lot of discussions around the benefits. And I would also want to say there's almost no doubt anymore that there are benefits in terms of automation, assistance to the humans. And that can save a lot of time when you think about things like scheduling or planning, quality control. There's a lot of benefits to AI adoption, which are research based and proven. At the same time, the discussion bucket number 2 is usually all about the risk of it, because if you combine human uniqueness and the technology, there's sometimes the risk that, number one, humans start to actually rely too much on the technology without really understanding what is the technology behind. Can I critical think about the results that the technology spits out? And how much am I using my human skills really to add to the technology versus just really relying on it without really sense checking it? And the other big risk always is the data conversation, right? I also mentioned it just now. If you don't have the data in place, or the data quality, the data accuracy, AI is a very difficult thing to implement, right? And I think a lot of organizations are struggling still at this very first level of implementation. And the third bucket is the skills. It's 2 buckets of skills. It's, on the one hand, the technology skills and really understanding the tools that AI has and how AI can work for you. At the same time, it talks to the power skills conversation that I just mentioned. There's a lot of more focus and more conversation around what kind of skills does the human need to continue to develop to really maximize that potential between the human uniqueness and the technology to support one another. It's not basically just saying technology takes over. I have now a lot of more actually capacity and brain bandwidth to really talk about what are my skills as human, what makes me unique, what makes me not AI to take my job away, right? Because I'm the other unique component of project management here. So these are the kind of 3 key buckets of conversations that are currently happening within our own community. And I want to highlight maybe a few areas of the benefits, right? So I just talked about the benefits being, I would say, relatively accepted or acknowledged already. And I also want to talk a bit about what are the areas that we have identified in our research where application of AI is definitely already seeing some positive results. And I'm really just sharing a few examples here. The list is actually really long. And if you're thinking about what are the kind of areas where people are using it the most and where the results are most accepted, we're talking about a lot of these tasks being automation tasks. You might have heard about this kind of scheme between AI being helpful for automation, later on for maybe assisting the humans, and later on really at an advanced level, augmenting the human capacity and capabilities. Very early on, we are at this point by using AI in project management for the assistance work. We're talking about things like communication, summarization, meeting notes taking, creation of emails and reports. We're talking about monitoring of KPIs. So there's a lot of automating tasks that the AI is usually being used today, and the benefits of that are actually very visible because the results are also very tested and trusted at this point. There's very few people who are not yet using some of the tools out there for easy tasks like those. But there's other people who are also starting to use AI in a bit more sophisticated way. And we call these people in our thought leadership work the trailblazers, people who have started early to adopt and have now moved on from simple tasks to a bit more complex tasks already. And those are the people that are using AI, for example, for risk management, because AI tools out there have the capability to analyze a massive amount of set of data and already seeing some themes and kind of things that the human brain or the human capacity simply can't see, identify risks, for example, early on, and even suggest mitigation strategies. And therefore, overall, making risk management within project work a little bit more advanced and support the humans this way. We've also have seen mainly some benefits in areas that are, I would say, more in the power skills side. So the humans that are usually the ones that are communicating better. But this is really something where AI can advance the humans in addition by supporting them, for example, with community, collaboration and communication. So if you think about that, it's not about just like summarizing conversation, building out meeting minutes. It also is about the things that you can't always see. For example, you have tools out there that are, looking at team sentiments, or they can read almost between the line and are suggesting some counter actions if they are seeing particular discrepancies in terms of communication. AI can help fill templates. AI can help to formulate messages and create alignment within the project team. So there's a lot of really creative use cases out there that enhances not just particular project management areas, but really the skills that the human really brings to project work, like collaboration and communication. I'm skipping one slide because it's a bit of a repetition of what I just said, just in a bit of a different angle. But what I want to talk about now, and that is really important to share as well, is what are challenges? Because I mentioned earlier, there is a discrepancy between some of the project professionals who are very advanced, curious, at some point even mastering AI tool adoption. But the context in which they work in the companies, for example, isn't always as supportive as they need to be. And that's not to blame because it is really complex to implement AI. And often there's a bit of the mistake done that AI is seen as advancing a particular process, or a particular function is mainly using it, or a particular department. But what we've found is that you need to look as an organization very much holistically at AI adoption, create a framework, create the governance behind, create very much a metrics also to understand where do you want AI adoption to lead to? How do you measure it's actually doing what you want it to do? And what do you actually want to do in the first place by AI adoption, and not just implement it because everybody does it or everybody talks about it? So, what is ultimately the why? Do you want to enhance yourself? Do you want to enhance the value creation for your customers? So, there's a lot that organizations need to holistically think about, which is not necessarily happening at a larger scale in organizations based on what we found. And what are the challenges here? Quite frankly, there's a couple groups. One group being technical challenges. We talked about data earlier. Ensuring that there is high quality and relevant data available is not always easy, right? And then there is data in pockets. There's data that does not necessarily correspond with one another. So how do you create a trusted, high quality data landscape? And that really is the baseline for good adoption of AI. And that is a technical challenge organizations still are working through. What about the integration with other systems, right? You do have a lot of already existing workflows and systems in place. If you're looking at AI adoption, where does that fit in? You probably need a couple of very smart system engineers to look at this entire ecosystem that you're trying to build, which is complex and it takes a lot of work and thinking in the first place. And in order to do that thinking, you need this technical expertise. You need skilled personnel who can develop and implement and then maintain AI systems. And quite frankly, not every project manager today has that skill, right? It needs a lot of cross skill set and a cross professional collaboration to really develop that expertise in an organization. It might need a lot more people to be hired. And that leads me to the organizational challenges are, for example, the cost of implementation. The initial cost of implementing AI on a larger scale has often to do with a lot of costs, including the hardware, the software, and let's not forget about the upskilling and the training for your own people, right? It is really an investment that needs to make sense and be thought through because it can be quite impactful to budgets. And then other things to consider and where people usually are maybe not thinking about in the first place is change management. Looking at change management to the extent when workflows and processes need to be adapted. So there really is a almost entire operational structure review necessary to think about if we implement AI, if we use this as our way of working in the future, how does that impact and their workflows and processes and these kind of things, and how does that impact my people? Is there maybe some resistance because not everybody wants change? They are liking what they do today and how they do it. And scalability usually is an issue too, right? As I mentioned before, it's important that AI is not just looked at, oh, it's for my project managers, or it is for my IT department, or it is for a particular function in my organization. In order to really benefit from the advantage of AI technology, it is important to look at this at a holistic landscape. And that can be extremely complex in especially large organizations that need to be thought through and mapped out. And last but not least, the cultural challenges. People are nervous. People are curious, but they also are nervous, right? They don't really necessarily always understand the technology behind. And some people are simply scared. They don't want to upskill. They don't want to get used to new processes or tools. You might need to consider a lot of change management and resistance management at times by highlighting advantages, right? Highlighting success story and giving them, quite frankly, a bit of a safe space to explore and learn because it is, quite frankly, such a new technology to many people and not everybody is really that open. Ethical complaints or ethical considerations are to be taken care of too, because how do you ensure when you implement AI that they are ethically and responsibly used, right? And that often has to do with truly understanding where does the technology work with, where does my data come from? Is my data safe? Am I allowing AI to help me remove bias, or am I actually feeding AI with things that already give it a particular bias? And what is the transparency behind some decisions that I'm going to take that are based on AI? All of that is really complex, and all of that is not necessarily immediately creating trust in AI. So think about, as an organization, how do I create an environment that gives people a good basis and a good understanding of what AI can do, but what are the challenges that people need to think of, and give them time to understand, to learn, and then become more confident and even more curious in order to help your individuals to buy into the AI adoption that organizations need to drive forward. And if we're talking about resilience, that is what organizations need to do as much as individuals need to do. They need to look into that future together to become future proof and work hand in hand to actually get to that stage. So, in summary, and I'm looking at time as well, we at PMI do 100% believe, and it is a strategic priority for us, that AI and any kind of technology advancement are a very powerful ally to project management and project managers, enhancing things like efficiency, accuracy, decision making, risk management, planning. There's so many areas and domains of project management where the benefits and the positive results of AI adoption are proven and accepted. And we're really excited for people to start exploring other spaces for usage of AI. However, there's a lot of challenges that not necessarily the individuals, but really organizations need to look at and provide some guidance, right? Things like the risk of over reliance, people not using their critical thinking skills and just taking what the machine spits out, data quality issues. We talked about the integration difficulties, especially in large organizations who are looking to build this into existing systems and try to scale the usage. Costs are always a question that needs to be thought through, and resistance to change, people that need to be brought along. So, in essence, the key to successfully using AI lays in the careful implementation, continuous monitoring and advancing, but also balancing the AI insights with human judgment. Because really, that marriage between the human skills and the human uniqueness, and then the things that AI can do already today and will be able to do in the future, that is really where the beauty happens. And I hope everybody is not anymore at this stage to say, look, where do we actually need to do something about it? AI is here, AI is here to stay. And I hope everybody is excited about it and curious about it. PMI is predicting that by next year, AI will be a standard tool in more than 90% of all project management practices globally. It's here already. It's only increasing based on the research we've been doing. And we are more than happy to continue helping you on that journey of AI adoption. Last but not least, I'll share that one slide, which is an overview for you in terms of what are the resources we already have available. There's a lot of courses available. We even have a tool already for project managers. You might have tested it already. It is called PMI Infinity, which is like a co-pilot. Things like people that are used to ChatGPT might actually find that experience quite recognizable. And it is a co-pilot that you can use on your day-to-day basis in your day-to-day project scenarios and situations. It has access to more than 15,000 PMI vetted, community and SME vetted content pieces. And I would love for you to try it out because it is really a tool that people are using successfully and happily already. And with that being said, I'll share that QR code with you in my very last slide before I close the session, which takes you to the PMI AI Hub, where a lot of the research pieces, out of which I shared a few of our findings in this presentation, but also direct access to courses, learnings, as well as the PMI Infinity tool, which is free for our members, is available. So I hope I want to just reiterate on my key message. Project managers are very curious already when it comes to AI adoption. They're experimenting, they're trying things out, they are making that marriage between the human and technology already happen. And we want to continue being a partner on that journey. And I would like to thank you and really hope that when I look at resilience being looking in the future, becoming future proof, AI is the new way of working for everybody, especially for project managers. And thank you for your attention today. And I hope that was a bit of an overview for everybody on this call.